Stop, collaborate, and listen. We are back with a brand new video. So, ramp, baby. What are we going to do today? Well, we're going to bring back where we break down a deck. And it's not just, this is a deck that I put together for you guys, tested it, and that's what it is. Instead, we're taking the tops from this past weekend, broke them all down. I have the most commonly played cards, the tech cards, the minimum deck core, which involves all of the cards that were played in every single topping list over this past weekend, as well as an updated list afterwards once we go through and talk about all of that. But blue steel, why is blue steel all of a sudden popping up even more? This deck was already proving to be a high tier 2, maybe low tier 1 threat at the end of the set 9 format, but now we got new cards such as Cinderella, Dream Come True, the most hyped card out of Whispers in the Well, and that's why she's going for a staggering $63. If you can get yours cheaper, I would definitely do it. This card is really, really strong, and she shines in this deck more than she does in any other deck, simply put, because you're playing so many princesses otherwise. And for those who don't know, at the end of your turn, if you played a princess character this turn, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down and then draw a card. So you can ink an uninkable card and fix your hand. You can just ink a bad card and fix your hand, drawing a card, getting you to that top end, because let's be honest, this deck has a very, very crazy top end. And like I said, we're already playing so many princesses. You have Mulan, you have Kita, you can opt to play things like Aurora, you have Jasmine Fearless Princess, who is a menace on her own. She's a 3/7 body who you can discard a card, gets Challenger +3, which makes her a 6/7 2 questing card who also has evasive on your turn. In addition to that, she may be a villain, but Namari is still a princess too, and when you play her, you can draw a card, choose and discard a card. More importantly, she gets 1 strength for each card in your discard. Often, this card is going to have 5 to 9 strength, if not even more, as the game progresses, with 5 willpower, being inkable. Again, she's a princess to trigger your Cinderella, and then questing for 2. You'll see a trend among the top end. Pretty much everything in the deck that costs 5 or more quests for 2 or more, and they all have more abilities as well. We already know about like your other big top end cards like your Vincenzo, but what about some more new cards? Well, Goliath. This card is low-key absolutely crazy. As a Blurple player, I think that this card is probably your most important card against me, because it completely cucks my resource. Like I want to overwhelm, out resource, and just be able to play over you in that type of a fashion, and Goliath just says no to that. I need to remove Goliath, or often I'm discarding 3 or 4 cards on the turn that he comes down. So if you're going against Blurple, Goliath is absolutely a menace that you want to get to. I'm not saying, look, there's Hades, tap it down, hit it with Into the Unknown. There's ways, Sudden Scare. There's cards to out it, but if they don't have it, this card can be huge into that Blurple matchup. I'm not saying you want to play him into like all your other matchups. He can control the hand size versus like blue-green and other decks. Obviously, versus your more aggressive strategies, you're going to want to go for more like Tinkerbell, Vincenzo, stuff that does damage on play, as opposed to the card that's going to actually fuel those aggressive cards and give them more cards in hand. But another new card is the Headless Horseman, who's a 5/7 2 questing inkable 8 cost card, and when you play it, each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random, deal 2 damage to an opposing character for each action card discarded this way. It's a 5/7 2 questing body. It can potentially fill up your hand, fix your hand, I should say, because you don't net anything additional off of it. But this card just, it feels like it could take the wind right out from your opponent. I'm not going to lie. There's been times where my hand was absolute trash and this card fixed it for me. But there's also been times where I had like Hades, Camilo, or like Hades, Elsa, Belle, like crazy hands, and I get stuck with Tipo Kristoff because you discard my 3 good cards. Definitely a high risk, high reward. But being a 5/7 2 questing body that sticks on the board is still going to be something that's very, very strong. So with all that said, kind of the new cards talked about, let's go ahead and look at the deck core. So once again, these are the cards that every topping list this past weekend played these cards. This is not necessarily the most commonly played ratios of the cards. This is just the minimum played. So when we see something like Namari at 2, her most common ratio was actually 4, which we'll get to in a little bit, but every list played her at least 2 copies. Visions of the Future, another one of those cards where, again, the most common ratio is different, but the minimum ratio was 3 copies. So when we look at the deck core, it's not too surprising to see that it's about this size, but there's 15 flex spots essentially in the deck. You're going to want your 2-cost, your ramp package with your Sail and your Tipo. Obviously, Cinderella is irreplaceable in the deck, and I guess maybe that's a bad shout. She's not irreplaceable in the deck. To be tier 1, she's irreplaceable in the deck. You can play this deck without her, absolutely. There's other ramp tools, there's other packages. Like I said, the deck was performing great at the end of last format, but she really fixes a lot of issues that the deck had and makes it more consistent, fixes the uninkable part, the molding your hand into how you want it. So if you ask me, what can you play instead of your Cinderella? I'd have to think about it a little bit, but you can play without her, right? It's just, if you want to play most effectively, you're going to need her. Same with Goliath. Like, Goliath to me is such a strong card right now. I'd argue Goliath is better than Cinderella overall in the entirety of the format. People might disagree with that and what have you, but I don't know. Like, these 2 cards are both absolutely insane, Cinderella and Goliath. Things like Namari, though, she's going to help fix her hand, but it's also a $20 card there, too. So the deck's not cheap. Like, it's like a $500+ deck to build. So I'm not going to lie. Lorcana's getting expensive. If you want to play competitive Lorcana, it's getting expensive. And good, bad for the game, take it as you will. I come from other TCGs, so I'm used to it. But Lorcana's getting expensive. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is. That's what's happening. But outside of that, he held his Thunderbolt, another new card from this set. Really good, being able to do the 4 damage. And you do play the Hades, who can actually is a deity and get the Challenger +2. So keep that in mind. Like, when you're doing your plays, like, you can have like your Cinderella sing this per se as an example and take out a threat like a genie, but then you give your Challenger to your Hades, and now your Hades can swing for 5 into something. That can be pretty effective. Like in a mirror match, you can take out a Tinkerbell because you have 6 willpower and you'll be swinging in for 5 strength. So do keep that in mind when you're choosing and playing out how you want to do your hands, that he is a deity, so he will get the Challenger +2. What were some of those cards? I said there's 15 tech spots. What were some of the cards that we've seen this past weekend being teched into the deck? Captain Hook, Mulan, some 1-drop cards. Because if you notice, there's not really a whole lot of 1-drops here, right, in the deck core. And personally, I do think that you should play the Mulans at a minimum. Whether you want to play more, we also see Develop is on there as a 1-drop. There was one top that did not play Mulan, so that's why she's not in the deck core. Again, deck core means every single top played them. Doc working his way out of these lists. I have not liked Doc since he's come out. Not to say I haven't played him. He was a necessary card that you needed to play, but I've never been a fan of the card, even though he's a great card when it goes off. I just hate the fact that, and this is all going to be subjective, I always saw him at the worst times, never top decking when I need him, seeing him in multiples, and again, that is all subjective. That is all not a good representation of the card. Doc is a fantastic card. Just personally, he has screwed me over repeatedly, so seeing him coming out of these lists is something that I really enjoy. Like I said, I understand you play it, you had to play it. Just personally, he was not kind to me. And again, that is all subjective, that is not factual. So don't take that as me saying he's truly a bad card. He is anything but a bad card. He's just been terrible to me personally. Pleakley, another card we've been seeing in some of these topping lists, as well as Kita for some ramp. And do keep in mind, Kita is a princess to pair up with that Cinderella play. So you can go like Cinderella on 3, get her ability, ramp up higher. And the next turn, you can come back with like a Kita, which is going to trigger your princess Cinderella once again, and she has ward. So next turn, you're going to be able to get your Kita and really just ramp very, very hard into the top end of the deck. Mayor Wind Dancer, he's a 5/7 beat stick. That's a 4-cost card, so he gets around something like Spooky Sight. I don't know. I don't like Mayor Wind Dancer. I don't like vanilla cards for the most part. So it's gonna have to be a no from me on the Wind Dancer. So sorry about that. I know you guys really the Luscious Locks, Zootopia 2. I'm assuming that's where he's from. I'll be shocked if it's not. But or is it just Zootopia 1 in general? No, because the mayor's the lion, Lionheart. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Aurora, another princess card that can be tacked in there. Pluto, which can give your steel characters the nice ability of gaining lore. Also, like being a 5/5 2-questing card, Pluto can kind of swing things in your favor. Like I said, the nice little ability of these champion cards for each ink color. Not that we're focused on allies in the build, he is, but during your turn, when a steel character banishes another character, again, gaining 2 lore, kind of like a Calhoun type effect for any of your steel ones. And then also, not that I guess it comes up very often, but whenever you play another steel character, you may banish chosen item. And I don't want to say that doesn't matter. Ink Runner isn't going to be too effective to hit. You're not really playing evasives, that the alert's going to matter. But something like the book in an Amethyst deck, because something I like to do is put a book out. And once my book is out, it kind of helps me if you get a Goliath out, because Goliath is going to cut my hand down. So then to start my turn, I'll have the 2 from the end of my turn. I draw for turn, so now I have 3. I can pay 1 ink, pop my book, draw 2 more. Now I have 5 cards to play with. So as a Blurple player, that's something I go for. So Pluto giving your steel characters the ability to pop the item on play can actually be really effective, especially once you have that Goliath in rotation. So I do understand why Pluto is played. I think it's a very neat tech card. If items see a little bit more play, Chromacon seeing play, absolutely can see this card coming in. Right now, getting lore for challenging, though, is actually pretty strong. I like the card, but I'm not quite in on it yet in this format. I think the format's a little bit too slow where it's at. But again, I really like Pluto. I'm just not personally in on it at this moment. The hitting the 2-cost ramp, very important. We know how strong that is and how detrimental it is when you miss. So seeing 1 jump ahead as one of the tech cards in here. Spooky Sight, a great blowout against these aggressive decks. The Beyond the Horizon, I like this card a ton. I think it should be a core card. But again, this is not subjective. This is just based off the tops. So I cannot put it in the core, despite thinking it should be in the core, because somebody topped without playing it. So that's how this works. Once again, we've already said that a couple times. Ink Runner, I like this card a lot. Giving a character alert, it allows you to deal with evasive characters. But let's be honest, outside of that, you have Vincenzo, who can ping 3. You have Tinkerbell, who deals 1 on play, and if you challenge into something, can deal 2 to another character afterwards by taking it out. You have Strength of the Raging Fire. You have Thunderbolt. You have Jasmine, who can have evasive on your turn. So it's not like you have no answers for these evasive style threats. So we saw the deck core. We saw the tech cards. Now, this is the most common ratios. These are cards that were played in at least 50% of the tops, and the most common ratio that we saw them at. Again, the deck core changing a little bit here now, and honestly, I don't remember, and without sitting down and counting, if this was exactly 60. It doesn't always come out to 60. Sometimes it's 57, sometimes it's 62, and that's just because it's anything over 50%. What's the most common ratio it played at? And it doesn't always come out to a clean 60. This is not a deck list that I'm saying play this deck list. This is just the most common ratios. And if you want to play this deck list, I'm not saying don't, because if we look at it, it's actually really, really solid. I think, what is it? Just trying to look at it. Honestly, it might only be a 1 card difference from the list I'm actually about to show you. I think it might just be a 1 card difference from the list that I'm going to show you that I would run. So at this point, I guess, yeah, this is a deck list. If you want to run this deck list, you can. There's very few weaknesses in this list. And again, this is just the most common cards played. We do see some of those tech cards being played in here. And again, all that means is not every list played them, but more often than not, we did see things like Beyond the Horizon get played, One Jump Ahead get played, 4 Namari get played, 2 Kita get played. So we see those additions coming in here, as well as the Mulan, just because a 1-drop that helps fix your hand, draws you a card. And if you play her later in the game, guess what? She's a princess too. So she also triggers your Cinderella. But going like Mulan on 1, Tipo Sail or 1 Jump Ahead on 2, trying to just make sure you hit that ramp, so that way you can go Cinderella ideally on 3, Kita on 4 potentially, but even that's not necessarily needed. You can go Kita on 3 too, just to keep your aggressive ramp curve going, but you don't necessarily want to go Kita on 4, right? Like, because then you're downplaying on your ink count. But it depends. Like, are you trying to ramp really hard into a Vincenzo, into a Horseman, into your top end, or is it better to throw a Namari down? Like, can you go Cinderella into Jasmine or Namari? Because that's obviously going to be a really strong play as well. And then if you can come back, depending on the matchup, is it a more aggressive matchup where you want Tinkerbell, or is it going to be a more controlled matchup where you want Goliath so you can control the hand size of your opponent a little bit more? And then obviously the next step is Vincenzo or Hades. They're just really 2 huge threats, and I like this deck a lot. If I stop playing Blurple, this is one of the decks that I have on my radar that I might switch over to for the format. I don't know. I'm really enjoying Blurple right now, and I'm really enjoying that it's not the deck to beat. There's not a huge target on its back. I don't care for the blue-green matchup and the green-purple matchups. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up landing on. But I do really like blue-steel as well, and it's 100% a tier 1 strategy. Be ready to see it all over. This might be one of the top 2 decks. Like, it honestly might be the second best deck of the format. I still have blue-green. I'm not saying it runs away with it, but I still got blue-green at number 1. But blue-steel might be my number 2 deck in the format right now. Followed by Purple Steel and then Blurple as number 4. Probably Green Purple number 5, Amber Steel 6 if I had to pick. That's probably my top 6 right now. But this is my final list. So, okay, there's at least 2 changes, right? What changes do we have? I'm missing 4 of something. 4 of something, right? Or the most common ratios is just not 60. That could be it too, right? Taking the 1 Jump Ahead out, turning that into a Headless Horseman. I have the 1 Spooky Sight in there and the 2 Auroras. So the most common must just be 57 cards. So this is 57 cards. If you want to take the most common and add in 3 more attack cards, go for it. Absolutely. That's what I did, sort of. I took 1 Jump Ahead out. Not a fan of the card. Didn't like the card in Blurple last format. I refused to play it. I felt like the difference between the games where I was winning and losing because of missing the ramp was so minimal, like almost unnoticeable. I did not play 1 Jump Ahead at DLC Milwaukee, and in the entire week leading up to the Milwaukee tournament, in the 2-set championships I brought Blurple to, and in 8 rounds at DLC Milwaukee, and then in day 2 of DLC Milwaukee, 0 games came up where 1 Jump Ahead would have mattered. I'm just saying. Statistically, there probably should have been 2 or 3 games that it came up. Actually, there was a couple of games where I missed ramp. I just still won the game. I'm not a fan of 1 Jump Ahead. I'm really not. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. I like Aurora. I like being able, again, I've a huge Blurple player, so I have, I guess, a different outlook a lot of time because I'm playing a different deck where Hades is in blue-green, it's in Blurple, it's in these other decks. You have other steel decks playing your Thunderbolt, playing your Strength of Raging Fire. And like I said, to me, Goliath is such a strong card right now. I want my Goliath to truly survive. When people focus on getting rid of my Cinderella, she's great if you I mean, no matter what, you get her turn 1 play, right? And by turn 1, I mean the turn you play her. If you can get a second trigger off of her, at that point, if I got 2 triggers off of her already, I ramped twice, I drew 2 cards. If my opponent uses a Strength, a Thunderbolt, a Hades on Cinderella, go for it. She already did her job. She already put in her work, and you just used a really good card on, quite frankly, not a great card. I mean, she's going to keep fixing my hand, so you have to do something about it, but I'm perfectly okay with that trade-off. But something like Namari, something like Goliath, something like Vincenzo, these 3 cards specifically, I really want to stick on the board. Jasmine, another card. Pretty much, I mean, even Horseman, Hades, Tinkerbell, I want those cards to stick on the board because Vincenzo's 8 willpower 3 questing. Horseman's a 5/7 2 quester. Tinkerbell has the ability to damage multiple characters. Goliath controls your hand. Namari often has enough strength to take out anything in the game. And Jasmine is just a threat with the Challenger and Evasive on my turn. So I like being able to throw down an Aurora, and it's like, okay, you saw an answer card. You saw Hades. You saw this. Guess what? You have to hit my Aurora. You can't hit anything else. You have to hit Aurora, which means my cards that I want to survive. And if you don't have the card, guess what? She's still a 3/5 2 questing inkable card. There's nothing wrong with that. And she's also a princess. Sometimes I don't want to just disregard aggressive decks, especially Amber Steel. Is Spooky Sight worth keeping in? Spooky Sight is by far the most flexible card in this list, and then it's the 2 Auroras. Everything else about the list, the other 57 cards, I think should be the deck core. Again, it's not. That's not how this works. But if we were being biased, if we were being picky like that, like if I was saying my straight up opinion, it would be that minus Spooky, minus Aurora, 57 cards right there, blue steel, that's your deck core. Fill in those 3 cards. I chose the 2 Aurora, 1 Spooky. I think it offers a nice little utility to what the deck's already not doing. And again, if you want to try other cards, go for it. But really, the rest of the deck should probably look very, very similar to that. And I hate to compare it to like Green Steel Bucky format, but sometimes the deck builds itself sometimes, and it's just really, really good. And there's not a whole lot of reason to change it. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Do you like this style breakdown of a deck list where it's not necessarily just how I want to build a deck, but we look into it a lot more as how others are building it, the cores, the common cards, the text, and then a list and kind of justifying and talking about the reasonings. If you like this, great. Hit that little notification bell so that you can see the next time we highlight a deck. I'm going to try to do 1 or 2 of these a week in addition to some other types of videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Take care.